Yeah.
And I don't think there's the will to do that, because the lying and the cover-ups and the secrecy and a lot of the dirty tricks that went on to stop these things from being talked about, you're going to have to explain all that. And I just don't think that anybody has the willpower to do that. And I'll give you a great example. Under FDR in World War II, right? FDR commissioned a report called the what was it? It was like the R report, I think, and it was carried out by this guy named Henry Fields, who was an eminent anthropologist, and basically the report was a systematic, scholarly view of how populations would move in the event of a catastrophic war, because we were screwing around with nuclear weapons at the time, and I think people at the top were like, okay, well, if we were to have a nuclear exchange, what would happen, right? And the outcome of the report is one thing, but the interesting part about it is that when he finished the report, they classified it, and they classified it for over 30 years, and eventually they finally declassified it. And then nobody would print it because Fields wanted to print it. Because, this is his magnum opus. He's an anthropologist. And a geographer. He put a lot of effort into this, so he wants it published. Now, he was rich because of the Fields department store and other stuff, the Field Museum and all that. But, eventually he had to publish it himself because he could not find anybody who would go against the government to publish it. But they classified just a relocation report for over 30 years. There was a nuclear weapons test that they carried out in the 50s, right, called Project Argus. They only declassified that in like 2000.
Oh, wow.
So they keep this stuff classified for 50, 60 years. There's stuff that happened in World War II that is still classified. There's probably stuff that happened in World War I that's still classified. And we literally have like one World War I veteran left. Yeah. I think there's one guy left, and he was like a medic. But it's like there's still stuff that's classified. There are things that will never become unclassified. And it's like, you have to ask yourself, okay, well, that's just a relocation study, and that took 30 years. Well, that's a nuclear weapons test, and that took 50 years. What are you really looking at here? For a UFO to say, okay, well, there's a dead alien sitting in the green room at Ray Patterson. What's that going to look like, right?
Well, you know what? If they came out, and this is my feeling, and tell me if I'm wrong, if the government actually came out tomorrow and said, yes, they can kind of give hints, but if they came out and said, yes, Roswell was real, we recovered bodies, yes, there's aliens, maybe we're sharing technology with aliens, maybe they're not so friendly. Maybe they like us as like Burger King. I have no idea. But if they came out and said that, okay.
It's a cookbook.
Yeah, it's a cookbook. But the thing is, then you start thinking, well, gee, now they disclose this. What else haven't they told us? If an asteroid was going to hit in 20 minutes from now, you think they would tell us if a big enough asteroid, like where it would cause an extinction? No. They wouldn't tell us. They just let us go on to it hit.
Yeah. Look, the way I think about it is this, right? That if they came clean and said, okay, Roswell's real, right? The same UFO interested parties that exist today would exist that day too. And half of them would say, oh my God, disclosures finally happened. This is amazing. Wow, the truth will set us free. We're all free now. We know this stuff's real, blah, blah, blah. The other half of them are going to go, no, I don't believe it. They're lying. They're lying about something. That this isn't total disclosure, that they're not telling us something because there's so much distrust. So, even if they came clean about something, nobody's going to believe them.
But I got to ask you, Olav, what is going on lately? Even one of my hosts, Michael W. Hall, is just in a frenzy because he's positive that something is going to break in the next couple of weeks. And it's not just him. It's a whole bunch of people. I get emails every day now from people saying, oh, this. It's like a frenzy out there right now. Everybody's thinking in the next couple of weeks, something big is going to happen. Now, I don't even know what really started it, but you know, what I find, and I've noticed this, especially doing a show, is that you go on like Facebook and somebody starts posting something, right? All of a sudden people start believing it. It's like if you say such and such actor, died today, right? When he's not even dead. All of a sudden it's all over the whole everywhere that such and such died. And now on this UFO thing, it's gone really crazy.
I think the reason that happens is because, people want it to happen. So they'll grasp at any straw to believe it. For me, I sometimes when I'm bored, I'll go look at a website like beforeitsnews.com, right? And I go in there and it's like, pick something, right? It's like they're going to declare martial law next week. XYZ Insider says there's going to be a solar flare in 2 days. And it's like, I'm still here.
Yeah.
No martial law. Nobody's taking anybody's guns. Solar flare hasn't happened. No disclosure. It's, people want to believe that disclosure will happen, but I just don't see it. And another example of why I don't think it'll happen. Eons ago, on the Art Bell show, on Coast to Coast when it was Art Bell, he had John Lear on, and this is a long time ago. And he asked Lear, who, is a connected dude, he said, hey, John, what's the deal with all this disclosure stuff? And Lear said, it's never going to happen. And Art Bell's like, well, why? Well, of course it's going to happen eventually. And Lear's like, no, it's not going to happen. And he said, well, why is it not going to happen? And Lear says, well, let's play a thought experiment. And Art Bell, being a very good broadcaster, said, okay, let me do a C. Crane commercial first, right? So he goes and does a C. Crane commercial. And he comes back and he says, okay, John, lay it on me. So Lear goes off for about 20 minutes. A good 20 minutes, an entire segment just goes on and on and on and on and on with all this detailed stuff. This happened and that happened. This was faked and that person was killed and all these things happen. And at the end of it, he says, okay, Art, what do you think? He says, you still want disclosure? And Art Bell goes, no, I don't want it now.
Well, I wouldn't either, but I don't know. It's just to me, it's like ludicrous. I mean, like I said, I'm getting all these messages, I'm getting all these emails from people, and it's also, I hate to say it, there's a lot of people out there all of a sudden, like in the last week or two, we're writing books really quick on UFO disclosures. I mean, trying to, jump into the bandwagon to make some money.
I think part of the problem is that the things like the To the Stars Academy, right? That you have somebody who's famous come out and say, I believe in UFOs and I've got contacts and those contacts tell me this, and everybody's like, oh, okay, well you're famous, so that means that you must have contacts and they must be telling you the truth. And the To the Stars guys, I give them credit, they've got very good marketing. And people follow this mess, very tightly, and they believe that the stuff that's coming out of there. But there's not really a whole lot coming out of there, and it doesn't mean that it's true, right?
Oh no,
you're talking about a situation where you have layers of deception, right? The person that may be telling you may believe that it's 100% true, okay, but somebody else told them a lie to tell you a lie, and it goes down the chain. So just because the guys over at the To the Stars Academy, they found out a piece of information, everybody takes it as the gospel, but you don't know the source of that information ultimately. You just know who told you, right?
Yeah, and it gets embellished more each time it's told too. That's what's interesting.
Oh yeah, it's like telephone. It's like playing telephone. Sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, one thing, Art was a friend of mine, a personal friend of mine. And, he's the one that got me back into broadcasting when I was retired. But, some of the things, we would talk about, about like UFOs. Now, he swears up and down he saw a UFO fly by, a triangle shaped one. And I do believe what he said. And I do really feel that we are, put it this way, we'd be really naive to, believe that there isn't something other than us out there, because let's face it, I mean, we could be the baby out there, but the thing is, I don't, like you were saying, I don't think the government will come out and ever admit it, because I don't think the American public honestly could handle it, or any other population in any other country.
Yeah, that's the Brookings report, right? They said that there'd be a massive societal breakdown if that information ever came out. That it would rock our concepts of religion and society so severely that it would be detrimental to our society.
But I got to ask you a question. Go ahead.
Sure.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and that's coming from the likes of Margaret Mead and, eminent anthropologists, geographers, sociologists, political scientists. I mean, the people that Rand got on that study, they were the creme de la creme.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, your phone's making noise again.
Oh, sorry.
I know. It's hard.
No.
No, it's just, I think from rubbing it or moving it. Yeah, that's a bad thing about cell phones. But I just really can't understand what is going on with somebody's mind. I'm glad the Air Force now is going to be supposedly in charge of the Space Force, but what's the whole point of it? I got to ask you that.
I don't think the Space Force is real. I don't think it'll ever happen.
Okay.
That's another conversation.
Okay. Do you think it's just to keep our mind off of other things right now?
Yeah. A lot of other things.
A lot, yeah. Now, have you heard of any good sightings of UFOs lately at all that in any areas that merit talking about?
The thing that struck me is just the volume, that there's just so much. I'm constantly seeing videos coming out of all kinds of different places of lights, coming down from the sky, like beams of light and, weird patterns of aircraft and all kinds of crazy stuff. I can't narrow it down to just one because it's just, right now there are just so many, I don't know, it's like an explosion. And that may be why people are looking at disclosure, right? Because there are so many sightings taking place right now that they're thinking, well, maybe that's going to force somebody's hand. But there are just so many. I mean, I can't really narrow it down. I have a trigger on Google News that sends me an alert whenever there's like a UFO, story, something with UFO in the title. And it's just like every day. I have one for weird weather, and, that one I get maybe twice a week or once a week or something. UFOs, there's like 5 every day. It's crazy.
Yeah. Peter Davenport comes on about virtually every Saturday on our network. Uh-huh. And, it seems like in the last couple months, he's been saying that the reports have really like quadrupled, of reports of UFOs. And even reports of aliens walking on the ground, which he said he never really got before, but he's actually getting these from credible people. And, back a few months ago, there's a sergeant in Oregon's largest city police department. I'm not going to say the city. And he was going to come on my show, he decided if he did, it could be a career breaker for him. But he claims he was up in Tillamook, Oregon, him and his wife and family, going up that way to go camping and sightseeing and all that stuff. And he said they were out in the woods somewhere, and he claims he saw 2 aliens. And, they turned around and looked at him, and then they were gone.
Well, I think one of the causes, right, of this increase in sightings activity, at least in the United States, is that, we're a very fickle lot. And I think a lot of people for a very long time, were afraid to actually come out and say, well, I saw a UFO or anything like that. But, and with the X-Files and shows like that, there's a kind of percolation down to the populace where they say, oh, well, it's on TV. Well, maybe I'm not crazy, or, there's more shows on TV about it. Maybe I shouldn't be so afraid. And now, you've got projects